Hi, everybody. Welcome to Music Marketing Week, I think 17. Today we have a guest.
Gosh.
I know, right? We have a guest, Jolie, the lovely Jolie. I'm going to put a little Jolie command over here, but Jolie is a musician and artist and designer and singer and producer and literally everything, because that's what we got to do when we ain't got as much money as some other people, you know?
You know,
It's
you
like,
know.
I had to learn how to produce because I couldn't afford a producer. It's like, do you want to make music or
The
not?
art of necessity, girl.
Right. I'm
The
assuming it was
art
the
of
same for
necessity.
you, like a lot of things. Well, what did you go to like school for and what did you study and
So my school story is kind of crazy and
roundabout?
roundabout. I actually started in college for musical theater,
Mm.
and
Hi,
I got
Allison.
into Hey Allison, how you doing? Um So I auditioned for Wagner College, and at the time, like, they were like the theater school,
Mm-hmm.
and
Oh, yeah.
so
I've heard of
it
them.
was like a big deal. And but like it's a private school. I'm a poor kid from Brooklyn,
Mm-hmm.
and so the reality of student loans and all of that mumbo jumbo bit me in the butt my sophomore year.
Mm.
And I found out that my loan for my sophomore year was denied.
Oh?
So I had to leave school. And I really wasn't doing well in school anyway. I did not adjust to college very well at
Mm-hmm.
all. And part of that might have been because I was commuting to Staten Island every day from
Oh,
Brooklyn, which
right.
is
That's where
not
that is.
cute.
Okay. I'm like, I know I've heard of this.
It's a beautiful school. Staff is great. Just was not the experience I needed to have.
Mm-hmm.
But the funny thing was, I took a Bible history class because at the time I was still a very, very, very good Christian,
Uh-huh.
still in the closet, not out to myself. And I took a Bible history course, and that's what started me going, huh? Wait a minute. Those verses don't mean the things I thought they were supposed to mean.
Oh, because you kind of
And
unpack it
so
more instead of like a single interpretation.
exactly. And that's what started me like down the line of coming to own my truth as at least what I understood at the time as being gay,
Mm-hmm.
just that piece of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I left Wagner and took a few months to figure out my life. And then I went to what was at the time Chubb Institute to do graphic design
Okay.
because I also like I had talent doing that and I was able to do all of those things in high school. I
Mm-hmm.
went to a great high school where I could be in theater and music and dance class
Oh,
and
that's
do the
awesome.
yearbook.
Was it
And
like a performing arts school or they just happened to have those
no,
things?
they just happened to have those things. I was
Wow.
very, very fortunate. And the having going from that experience to sort of like, okay, now I have to sort of pigeonhole myself into one thing wasn't very
Mm-hmm.
good for me. So
Yeah.
I went to Chubb Institute, and they put you through like this program for a year where you're basically doing intensive study for graphic design and animation.
Mm-hmm.
So you go from Photoshop to Illustrator through web design, through video production, through 3D animation.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, the things that they teach you are good enough to make you a cog in the wheel of a machine.
Mm-hmm.
They're not really the kind of skills and the critical thinking to help you become a freelancer and um, to become a designer with your own sense of personality and your own ability to problem solve in a way that's unique for you.
Hmm. So you feel like they kind of just
So
basically teach you like the basic, like they teach you how to do the things, but not necessarily like context of like applying to real world situations and,
right,
maybe more thinking outside of the box or thinking for yourself or
right.
developing your own brand, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Would you feel like,
Now
I mean, I was going to say, I kind of feel like that's very similar. Thank you for the host for sale. And hello, Ashi Bashi and Goey. Um,
hello.
I mean, do you feel like, I guess your high school experience was very different because I guess for me, like coming out
Mm-hmm.
of college, it was like, I mean, I guess I didn't really study business or anything specifically. I studied international relations and
Mm-hmm.
German. So it was like, okay, it was like I kind of wanted to get into marketing, and like maybe I took a couple econ classes and stuff, but nothing really teaches you how to apply things outside. It will, Luther. It will. And hello. But yeah, so I mean, I guess coming out of that, what did you feel? What did you do next?
So I
To get
I came
to the
out
core of it.
next, to be completely honest.
Oh, okay. Well, that helps develop your personal brand.
Right, exactly. So like, even though the school itself wasn't great and the program wasn't great, I actually had really great teachers, and they pulled me aside and they helped me do more of the homework to understand like art history and the deep skills to help me develop as a designer with your own sense of style and your own sense of who you are. And the department head, he actually ended up becoming my gay dad and helped me through my coming out process. And it just turned out to be a really great safe space for my personal life. Like at that time, while I was still a student, one of my friends had gotten kicked out of her home because her mom found out she's a lesbian. And like, I just remember she hit me up the night that she got kicked out. I'm like, what are you gonna do? Where are you gonna go? And she's like, I'm just gonna stay on the train and sleep. And I'm like, you're not doing that.
Oh no, sis.
Right. So and like, she's no weakling either. She's like 6 foot, like ready to tumble Jamaican girl. Like she can hold her own. But I went out and I met her at Grand Central, and she and another friend of mine, we stayed with her and made sure she was all right. And then we went to our school the following morning, and they were like, take the empty room, sleep in there, get some rest, and then we're gonna figure out what we have to do.
Yeah.
So I had a great experience personally, and I had that safe space to come out and deal with that part of myself. And then the real process started.
Right. I mean, that kind of makes sense, because otherwise it's like, okay, I got too much going on in my brain. I got these regular stresses. It's like what they always talk about, in school. And I'll get to what you mentioned in a second, Lucas. It's like they talk about in school, they're like, oh, typically people of color are not performing as well in school. Are they dumber? It's like, no, bitch. It just has to do with like generational wealth and the fact that, people who are not white are more likely to have less money or less income and, feel the stress from their parents, that the parents feel like they can't pay rent, or they aren't eating enough, so they're stressed out, or, whatever. And that happens with white people too, but.
That's everything I went through at Wagner College. Everything. Because I was face to face with kids who didn't have to deal with the shit I had to deal with growing up.
Right.
And I remember
it's frustrating too. Like, not like you wish it on them, but it's just kind of like they don't understand. They're like, oh, I'm so poor. Oh, this is so hard. And it's like, okay, but you like, your parents just paid for everything. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I think you just need to know. You need to be like my parents did pay for my college. And I am so grateful for that, because I wouldn't have been able to take the risks that I have been able to take in life and do what I'm doing now without that. But a lot of other people, they're just kind of like, oh, everything's so hard, blah, blah, blah. And it's like,
Meanwhile,
I'm surviving off, like 1 cup of noodle per week. And I can have 4 noodles today.
I have accidentally lost 8 pounds in the past couple of weeks, because it's all been rice and beans and eggs. And I'm grateful to be in a position where I can lose 8 pounds.
And still be okay. It happens. Lucas said, I went to an extracurricular course to learn some graphics, and we actually did some 3D modeling. And that was my graphics basics. Everything else I know is self-taught. Yeah, I mean...
Same.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, now we'll kind of, I just kind of wanted to talk to Jolie a little bit, get a little bit into your story, and then share, some of your work, more specifically, and all of that. Hi, Juju, stopping by before work. Got something special tomorrow. Oh, I'm excited to see whatever's happening tomorrow, and I hope you have a good time at work, or at least not a terrible time. So let me put on some of Jolie's music first of all, while I pull up some other links. For Jolie, and we can talk about Your work? No, don't. Okay, turn it up. No, don't play it. Turn it up, bitch. Put it to 11. Okay, let me shut my ass up and listen to Jolie. And this was self-produced. I'm assuming you did the graphic design yourself for this as well.
Every piece of it.
So, let me just show y'all on the desktop too real quick. You can see it's super cute. Oh, it doesn't really get that big. But this is Jolie's Spotify, and I have linked their Twitch in my in the little command. Jolie right here. I'm like 5 years old, so IDK, what's going on right now? Wait, what? How old are you? I'm 5 right now. I'm in kindergarten. Ashy Bashy, we're talking about just self-employment. We're talking about Jolie's work. We're gonna go into a little bit more in depth about, I guess I should have said this at the beginning, kind of summarize what we're talking about today. I just really jumped into Jolie. But we're gonna be talking about some self-branding stuff, showing some websites, showing off Jolie a little bit as well, and also talking about how I'm 14. Also talking about what it's like working as self-employed people, as people maybe working a job, doing music, doing graphic design, doing Twitch, like sometimes working like 4 or 5 different jobs, trying to make one pop off, trying to make your own money, and the struggle of managing that and all of that goodness.
Because she do be a struggle.
Ooh, she do be a struggle. I'm like, maybe I should clip that, put it at the beginning. I might do a little edit on this one. Yeah, so Jolie not only does, I also forgot, even though I love listening to it. So Jolie has like 2 podcasts. Jolie does music. Jolie is a part of a cappella group. Jolie is a designer. Jolie is a musician in their own right. Yeah, so that's why I wanted to talk to them, because I was listening to a podcast that you did, and you were just talking about, what a struggle it is sometimes to just like, you got people paying you, but money isn't necessarily a motivator for everyone. It's like, yeah, I need that money. I would love that money to survive. However, just because you're paying me 500, 600, 1,000, whatever dollars over a month or 2 months, or $0 or seconds, whatever, minutes, years, eons, pickles, exactly.
Right.
It's like, okay, but I'm just stressed. I got things to do. I want to do this. I end up watching YouTube. Oh, that was due a week ago. That was the deadline we mutually agreed upon. Oh, well, I got sick.
That email's been sitting in my inbox for a week and a half.
Yeah. First we're gonna go over like the website stuff and design and Jolie's expertise there, and then we'll talk more about the rest of that. But also, let's just...
I can't hear what's going on my end.
You just did your whistle tone, and we're getting closer to the end. We're winding down. Sweet love. Hey,
this stream is too real.
It's gonna
might get a little more real, girl.
Feel free to cry with us. Feel free to share your feels. And I'm gonna link your Spotify right now as well. But please do follow Jolie. They just started streaming. They've been doing some music production stuff, showing off their little overlays and all that cuteness. Okay, so.
And I just crossed 11,000 streams around the entire planet.
on Sweet Love?
Uh-huh.
I mean, wait, is that what it's called? Yeah, I don't know why I just had a major brain fart. I'm like, I can sing along to the song. I can sing Jolie's version perfectly. However, what's it called again? Okay, so let me just like pull up your portfolio and we can talk about some things you've done before and show it off. And then I was gonna show Jolie my website and then website for my company, and just kind of talk about what we would suggest for indie artists and things like that. This is already gorgeous as heck. So this is Jolie's website, callmejolie.com. See, it's starting off with that Sweet Love on all streaming platforms. Debut single, a beautiful little description, listen, buy, share. Okay, so is this on like a Squarespace type of thing, I think you said, or is it like completely original, like coding stuff?
That is WordPress.
Oh, so you've done WordPress and then you like made it How did you
Okay.
make this basically? Because I don't know things. I used Squarespace for my company website, and then my roommate, who's like computer language genius, made my other
Mm-hmm.
website. But
Awesome.
I think for most people, you know, if they don't have any knowledge, probably like a Squarespace type of thing would be good. But I don't know how
Mm-hmm.
hard this is, and yeah. So if you kind of just want to talk about this website and you know what
For
you've
sure.
done, and
For sure. So I
I'll
built
click
this
around in the
website
background.
with WordPress and a page builder system called Elementor.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm using a WordPress theme called Ocean WP.
Love it.
And
Oh,
so
I see. I see.
what what I like about WordPress is that as you grow, you can grow your website with you. And
Mm-hmm.
it's super customizable. What and so like and you've seen me rant about Squarespace on Twitter.
Yes. That's why I was like, is
So you know
this Squarespace?
I don't like it. So what I don't like about Squarespace, and I was just like having to run face first back into the reasons I hate it, because I'm currently working on a website for another artist,
Mm-hmm.
and his team was wanting to put it on Squarespace, and it's just
And
for
you
the
were
things
like,
that they wanted to do. Exactly, number one. But also, Squarespace is really limiting in terms of the things that you can do with it and the ways that you can customize it and make it look, even though they sell it as a super customizable thing, there's not a lot of growth potential
hmm,
inside of it.
that makes
And
sense. I feel that.
yeah, so you don't really get to um so how am I trying to say this? So you might get to a certain point. So let's say that you decide that you're going to release your EP, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you want to sell it, you want to give people the option to buy the EP, but maybe you also want to give people a deal, and you can sell them your EP, and you can sell them a t-shirt and like a little commemorative poster,
Mm-hmm.
right? To sell that on Squarespace and to lay it out the way that you want it to gets really, really crazy. And you're going to be spending up to $30 a month to Squarespace
Mm-hmm.
for them to do it. And then they're going to, depending on the account type you have, they're going to take an additional percentage off of your sales,
Mm.
and then the credit card processing fees.
Okay, right. So they're like their own payment thing. They're like a middleman there instead of
Right.
like, so with WordPress, do you have to know any like coding stuff, or is it kind of like you can copy and paste and
You
these?
can There's still a learning curve involved,
Mm-hmm.
because you can do so many things, but with Elementor you don't have to know code. Knowing code is handy, sort of like the way that knowing CSS back in the MySpace days was handy,
Mm-hmm.
and you can do further manipulation, but
Mm-hmm.
you really don't need to know code. You just have to be willing to spend the extra time to make sure that the pieces are where you need them to be,
Yeah.
and that they look how you want them to look. But
Right.
other than that, the only reason I touch code is because I'm super picky.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. And then I'm not writing pages and pages worth of code. I'm literally going in and I'm like, okay, here's this little piece of CSS. It's going in here. It's only affecting this block, and that's it.
Like what type of thing? You mean maybe like just like a font change or like link, you know, widget type of thing change or
Uh, I have a perfect example, as a matter of fact. So
okay.
you know about the bands in town widgets that you
Yeah.
can put on your website.
Hi,
So
Savona.
they have a they have a WordPress plugin,
Mm-hmm.
and it's
Is this on your
really
site or this is just separate?
it's not on my site right now,
Okay.
because I'm like, I don't have gigs coming up, so why am I going to put bands in town on my website right
Right.
now?
Okay. Got it.
But um when you put the bands in town widget on any website, it's
Mm-hmm.
got the bands in town logo on it. It's got all of these extra buttons. It's got this
Mm.
horrible background. It looks tacky. Um, so I had to take a little extra time to figure out how the styling in terms of what it looks like works, so that I could hide the logo and I can hide this piece and I can hide that piece and I can make the buttons look how I want them to look.
Mm.
Um,
That sounds complicated. So how did you learn how to do that type of stuff? Was it literally just looking up like, you know, coding stuff and being like, okay, if I want to like hide this, I just like will delete this line and that will make it go away, and like change this color? And
I learned a piece of that at school, a piece of it, but a lot of it was just sort of learning um, CSS on my own. But they're not. I wasn't using very complicated concepts at all. It was basically, um, at least if you're using Chrome, if you right click on any web page and you go to inspect page, you can actually
Right.
see the code
Okay.
as it's broken down, right? And then what I can do there is look at what pieces are being affected. The nice thing about Bandsintown specifically, yep, there you go.
Here she is. You just right click inspect. Okay.
And then what you can do is Bandsintown has pretty good documentation about the things that you can affect with code. And then you can just go ahead and do that. But I didn't really have to do anything super complicated.
Too crazy. Okay.
And the pieces that do get complicated, there are CSS generators out there. So like if I want to do an animated gradient background, I can Google gradient animated background and then make it look how I want to look, copy that thing, and then paste it into the things that I want. But again, I'm only doing that because I know I can.
Is that
I don't have to do that.
Is that how you did maybe like this type of thing? Like how it was like switching the name? Did you like search for that, or was that?
That's a feature in Elementor.
Oh, well, that sounds amazing. Do you happen to know like we really getting in depth on WordPress, because I'm like, I'm not the biggest fan of Squarespace, and also my other website is like not customizable at all by me, except unless it's something super simple, because my roommate built it from scratch, so I don't know what's going on. Really quickly, Sabuna said, good that I know how coding works. Yes, coding is very, very helpful if you know how to make your own stuff, because you don't have to rely on anyone else. And even if you're not the best at it, you know, as long as you know how it works and have some basics, it's a lot easier to learn from there. And Nayar Lathonic said, a good resource for learning CSS and other web design is W3 Schools. I have not heard of that, but I will be looking.
They're basically the web's textbook on coding.
Oh.
And they're really good. But there are tons of free courses out there that you can take. And honestly, a basic CSS class will take you super, super far.
Okay, that's very cool to know. If there's any links that anyone else recommends, please whisper them to me and I will include them in the description of this when it's highlighted on Twitch and on YouTube. Do you happen to know, I love going like really step by step about this stuff because I don't understand things. So I'm like, if y'all can just tell me everything in one place, that would be lovely. So do you happen to know like what the cost would be for doing something this way versus if you were doing a similar website on Squarespace for yourself? Like, do you think the cost is the same, cheaper?
Sure. That's actually how I helped sell my client on switching from Squarespace to WordPress. So I did get this artist website to transfer from Squarespace over to WordPress.
I'm about to just hire Jolie, girl. I ain't got time for this. I'm like, I got extra clients in the next couple months. I could spare a little change.
You let me know.
But continue.
So, where was I? No, so you can on Squarespace, right? For the bare minimum, you're looking at spending either a chunk of money up front or an increased amount of money per month, right? And I think for the basic Squarespace service, if you're not paying annually, you're paying $18 a month.
Okay. Yeah, that's a lot. I was gonna say, I think I pay like maybe close to like $200 a year for the annual cost, including like hosting and stuff too, I think.
Exactly. So I use DreamHost for my domains and my hosting, and I spend $12 a month on hosting, and I'm hosting my website. I'm hosting this PoC Live's website, which is one of the podcasts that I do. Another another friend of mine who is an artist. I'm hosting their website. I'm hosting a client's website for now. So I can host as many websites as I want
Mm-hmm.
on one account, which is great. So you can end up saving money if you and a couple of other people want to get your websites going.
Right. I'm
You
like, I
just
can do
share an
my business
account.
website, my music website.
Exactly. So, and it's only costing me $12 a month right now because I'm paying per month versus buying an annual package.
Mm-hmm.
So, and on top of that, I get to have as many emails as I like.
Oh.
With Squarespace, they give you, I think, one free email account for your first year, and then after that, you have to start paying for it. And because you're using Google services, you're spending $5 per email account
Mm-hmm.
to have that account,
Right.
which is unnecessary. So you get to have as many email addresses as you like. And right now I'm operating with two. I have one that I use for general information from my website, and then I have my personal contact information one
Mm-hmm.
that you and I go back and forth on.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how I keep those things separate. But then I also have email addresses for my podcast co-host. I have email addresses for
Mm.
my friend who's also whose website I'm hosting.
Oh, Sue, the sugar mama. You hosting them all. You
Sort
hosting
of,
the emails.
sort of.
Don't cross me. I'll delete your inbox.
Hello. So so you end up just saving money, and there's a little bit more in terms of managing it that you just sort of have to learn about. But honestly, it ends up being worth it, and it gives
Yeah.
you so much flexibility.
Right. I feel like that
Um,
trade-off of, learning to manage it more is just because there's more to customize, there's more freedom, there's more of that.
mm-hmm,
Um,
mm-hmm.
Hi, Bean Dealer. I was gonna say, so I feel like my music website is like the absolute basic. Well, it has some bells and whistles, but it's basically a landing page. So if anyone out there doesn't know what a landing page is, it's basically if you go to a website and it's just that page, there's no other
Mm-hmm.
sites, there's no other like crazy stuff to click on. I'll show you right now what my music website looks like and how much more I want it to be like Jolie's gorgeous, headline, and then get my music, and then type of bio, and then join our mailing list, and then where to find them, and then
Mm-hmm.
secondary things, and then merch, and then the email list again, and all the links and all this and the emails and all of that. So I feel like this is such a beautifully put together site. Which, am I surprised? No.
Thank you.
Am I surprised? No. To call me basic? Well, just call me Kisos then. It means the same thing. So let me show you my website, y'all. It's cute. She does a thing or two, but I need more. Like, I don't have a bio anywhere on my site. It's very, very simple. I love this. It has a little GIF and that my name comes in. I have my email list very prominent. This links to my all of my it's my smart link. So it's a link to everything. From here, you can go to all of my streaming sites, or like the major ones at least that I cared to add on there. And that's pretty much it. And you have my links here. And then whenever I release anything new, I update the thing here. Once I joined Twitch, I added that little symbol there, and that's that. So I would say this, if you're gonna make a website, this would be kind of like the most basic thing. Like, you'd probably, want a little bit more about you.
Well, it seems basic, but if I'm being completely honest, it's also extremely effective
You like it?
because
Let's reload
I
it.
do. I like it a lot. So because the most important thing that you can collect as an artist, as any sort of business that you might be doing, is getting people's email addresses.
Mm-hmm.
People think that email is antiquated, but email is still one of the most effective ways to get in touch with people
I told y'all! You don't
every
listen!
single time.
But no, it's true, because as people complain more about, Facebook used to show your posts from pages to like everyone that followed you. Now it's like 10% or less.
Yep.
Instagram used to be you could scroll and see everything someone posted. Now it's algorithms. Twitter has changed a little bit in that way as well, although not as much. But also Twitter has so much more like coming at you, where like if you're not posting all the time, people won't know about you. So it's like, it's
and if
good
you're
to
not reposting all the time, people don't know about you.
right. And if people aren't following you on everything, and they're only following you on Twitter, maybe you're not as active on Twitter, or you don't post about that kind of thing on Twitter. Having them on email, which we've said before, and we will say it again, girl, is the way to get people to stream your shit, buy your shit, watch your shit, share your shit, come to your shows, buy your merch, basically do everything, be impressed by you. That's where you're going to find the people from high school who bullied you, and then they're going to email you and be like, oh my God, I'm so proud of you. You know, like that's on email. That's on email, everybody. But yeah, I would say if you're going to have a website, the most important things are your social media accounts, obviously linked to your music, and a way for people to sign up.
So I'm gonna break this down a little bit.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna start with saying that this is super effective. Thank you, Pokemon. Because you have the background video that is showing people a piece of your personality, which is huge. It's
and
so
I got my underwear out.
There you go. So, like, honestly, this is part of what I loved when I met you in person, is that the person that I've seen on stream is exactly the person I got when we met up, and I was just like, oh
And
wow,
same goes to you.
Kisos is, oh, thank you. And so that piece of it is great. I do think that because it's summertime, you might want to think about changing it so you don't have snow in the
seasonal
background.
thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I think what you have works, right? And then when you're ready to start thinking about your next project that you're going to put out, or your next single, or you're ready to start showing people more pieces of what the Kisos brand is all about, then you can start building around it.
Right. Yeah, like I think this would be great as kind of like a headline, like what you have here. Like it could still exist, but you know, just have like more about me or more about bio. Because when you're pitching people, you have to be able to have a place where you can send them. And honestly, a lot of times I just like copy and paste it straight in the email, but that can get really bulky. And you know, I keep it pretty short. Or if we go to my company website, and Kisos is synonymous with thought. You're right, Bean Dealer. If we go to my company website, I literally have like bios. If you click, like you can get to someone's bio. So I used to just link my bio here because it also had like links to music. But here's my website for my, this is hosted on Squarespace, and this is my website for my company. Why is it super simple? Because I didn't want to take time creating a brand or creating anything. I literally was like, okay, I'm going to make some block letters, and it's going to be black, and then the reverse branding is going to be in white. And you can see that is the same on my, oops, I didn't mean to go to the site. You can see that's the same on my, on my social media. Okay, like that's kind of a mess up right there, but that's okay. But you can see it does get the job done. It's clean, it's fresh, it's not the most sophisticated, but it doesn't look, at least it doesn't look like cheap or like doing too much. And you can see like,
and the reason why it works is because this brand is not a person. This brand is representing other people.
Right.
So by keeping that simple, you're not creating something that's distracting from the people that you're trying to represent. You know what I mean?
That's true.
So what I would think about with your website is it really serving the purpose that you need it to serve? Is it easy to navigate?
I feel like it's good enough. So that's why I ain't got no complaints. But I would like, I do want to have like a little blog on here and things, and like you were saying, Squarespace honestly makes that kind of hard. Like there aren't their themes or whatever you want to call them are very rigid actually. Like it was hard for me. I have some hidden pages that you can't see, but to make a blog we had to add in some custom code where we would be able to like have a search bar and do some other things, and it was like, this is so much work. Like I don't like this.
Right. And so what I would say is that WordPress gives you that flexibility, and Elementor gives you that flexibility. And when you're ready to start doing things that are a little more sophisticated, then
come for my edges, Jolie.
At least not, and not necessarily in terms of design, but when you're ready to start amping your brand up, you
Mm-hmm.
can upgrade to Elementor Pro, and that's like $50.
Mm-hmm. And
And
that's like
then
one-time fee or annual.
it can be a one-time fee. If you want to um, get continuous upgrades every year, then you're going to pay
Mm.
another $50 every year. But you don't have to do that to get access to Elementor Pro. You pay it
Mm-hmm.
once and you can do that. And then if they release a new feature that you're like, oh my God, I need to have
Right.
that,
Then you can pay it
then you
again.
can go ahead and pay that. And what Elementor Pro allows you to do is really fully customize your website. So when I built the e-commerce part of my website,
Mm-hmm.
I needed Elementor Pro to do the things that I wanted it to do. You don't have to have it to have e-commerce on your website,
Mm-hmm.
but I just wanted to make sure everything looked the way that I wanted to look because I'm extra. So
Right. No, I mean,
um
I feel you. I'm the same.
so like I would when you're thinking about your websites, the first question you need to ask is, what am I trying to do? What purpose is my website going to have here?
Mm-hmm.
Because just having a website isn't enough. Your website has to do something for you in order for it to be valuable. Because
Right.
otherwise, you're just taking up space.
Right. You're just spending
Um,
money. What's the point? Why is anyone going to go
exactly.
there? What is someone going to get from being there? Oh, Lazy, thank you for gifting subs. And hello. I love you coming in here and sharing all
Yay!
those lyrics. I was just trying to find a good spot in the conversation to say hello to you. But thank you so much for gifting those subs to Danny Boy and Naya. You sweetie.
And if any
Oh,
of
it's not
y'all
even
out
showing
there
right.
have questions, I do see the chat also, so I'm happy to answer your
And yeah,
questions
if you have any questions about you know, what's the best thing for people to do? What's the best thing out here? I should put
And
this
it's
down
worth saying that you don't have to get the like the unlimited hosting thing on any hosting platform in order for you to have access to WordPress and Elementor, because WordPress is free and basic Elementor is free, and the theme that I use, because it's super robust, which is Ocean WP, is also free.
here. Bitch, catch me
um
on that Ocean WP.
it's so good.
Catch me on it. I'm about to have the exact same website as Jolie, but just like plug in my pictures, my links. I'll even use your like headers and colors and
You
no, I'm just
just
kidding.
listen.
I'll just make it
Picasso
purple
said,
instead of yellow.
good. Listen, Picasso said, "Good artists borrow, great artists steal."
It's true.
So do it.
I stole earrings
um,
once. I'm sorry, everybody. It's just the truth.
so go ahead and put your crowns on.
Yeah, sorry. I was like, I don't want to miss anything. Ah! And
Gotta put on the crowns for the subs.
her
There we
third cousin is
go.
finer than a mug. If it's a third cousin ashy bashy, I say go ahead. That was from way back earlier, by the way. But if it's a third cousin, go for it. You're allowed to think your third cousins are hot. But
So
yeah, continue.
yeah, you can get web hosting for one website on DreamHost, at least for $5 a month.
Okay.
$5 a month.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
super
definitely
cool.
paying more than that.
So like you can imagine that over the course of a year, that's how much money. That's $60.
That's a lot.
That's not that bad.
Well, I mean,
But
like you
when you
save a
think about,
lot. Not that it's bad. You save a lot.
you save a lot, right? But when you think about going to a website like Squarespace and you end up paying like, what is it, 140
At
something
least
dollars a
double,
month
yeah.
for their most basic package,
Mm-hmm.
you're saving over 50%.
Ah,
So
I'm converted. I'm converted. I think I'm
and
just about to pay my Squarespace for my company, but you know, 2020, Kisos is gonna be all in that WordPress baby.
there we go. Because honestly speaking, like it's a steeper learning curve, but yeah. Oh, thank you. Yes,
Thank you,
yes. My
Passion.
face is beat.
I'm
Thank
about
you,
to show
Passion.
you this Instagram pic of Jolie as well. Um, while
So yeah,
we,
it's worth the investment because you like, because when we're living this artist life,
mm-hmm,
let's face it, every coin saved is a coin earned.
majorly,
Like honestly.
Majorly. Major call me Jolie. Let me give you another shout out, by the way. Welcome everybody who's coming in right now. This is Jolie's Twitch. They started streaming recently and doing like music production and stuff, and they're also a designer and a friend of moi. We got to meet, like, was that just last week? No, 2 weeks ago. Or like a week and like 10 days.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it feels like it was a month.
I know, right? It feels so long ago. But Jolie had an extra ticket and took me to see this play that was like really fun and really cool. And it was also very relevant to today because it was a play about a black queer man writing a play about a black queer man writing a play. I don't remember how deep it goes, but it was very meta.
It was super meta.
Super meta and super good. And let me show off Jolie real quick in this other picture.
Hi, Passion. Call me by your Jolie.
So this look was well, if anyone has questions about websites or things, feel free to put it in chat. We might talk a little bit more about it, but I also just wanted to talk more about Jolie's work, period, and what Jolie's doing. So that look was from Pride. Is that what you wore at your Tonewall performance?
Yeah, that wasn't my Pride look. That was my competition look.
Right.
Because I forget which Pitch Perfect it was, but there was that Pitch Perfect movie where they're competing in like an international competition.
I think that's the second one. I didn't see. I don't think I saw the third one. Yeah, I don't remember anymore. It wasn't the first.
Definitely not. So the actual organization that does the college and high school level a cappella competitions decided based on that movie to actually do the international competition.
Oh wow!
It started 3 years ago.
That's so funny.
Tonewall is about 4 years old now, and each year so far we competed the first competition, we competed last year in Boston, and we competed again this year. And each time we've placed in the top 3. So year 1 we were 3rd place, year 2 we were 2nd place, and this year, and these are the semifinals. This year we finally cinched 1st place. Yeah, Pitch Perfect is amazing. So it was just, I don't want to say that it was surreal because we definitely worked very, very hard for that. But like we were definitely humble about winning, and we don't want to take that for granted. Because, and by the way, y'all, and this can be another subject altogether, there's a difference between being humble and imposter syndrome. So we can get into that.
There's a lot of psychology. We're queer, we're brown, we're freelancers, right? We're self-employed. We got a lot of issues we're working through here.
So like, we knew we were good. We knew good job, and we did the best we could. And we're going up against groups that spend months rehearsing specifically for competition. And we don't have that luxury at all. Cause like we're an actually gigging group, and we do what we do for free. Cause what we do is we operate as a fundraising arm for New York City Gay Men's Chorus. So all of the work that we do and all the money that we generate helps raise money for the organization, which also supports Youth Pride Chorus, which I was also a part of.
Ooh, she's been singing for a while.
So
and we can tell. Okay. Stream Sweet Love on Spotify right now. Thank you.
And so now we're looking forward to competing at Carnegie Hall in October.
Yeah.
And part of our shtick as a group, I don't want to say shtick because it's definitely not against it,
right.
We make it a point to find ways to really express who we are in every single performance that we do, no matter whether it's for a corporate gig or it's for a gig like this where we can give them the full fantasy. But just we make our authenticity a central component to what we do when we're performing, and people respond to that every single time.
Love that.
Honestly, that's it's contributed to my personal journey as an artist now, where I used to think about, at least when I first started thinking about what it meant to be an artist and being out as an artist. And I think maybe not for younger artists now, but I know for me and some of my friends, there's that thought of like, do I just come out and let people know that I'm a queer artist? Because
Right.
I don't necessarily want my music to be queer,
Mm-hmm.
whatever that means. But um, after a certain amount of time, I'm like, there's so much power in owning who you are, because ultimately that's what draws people to you.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm actually having other conversations with other artists who are queer, who are going through that conversation of just like, well, I want to make music for everybody. I want everybody to be able to listen to my music. And I'm like, well, if people can't listen to your music because you're living out and queer, you don't need them listening to your music anyway.
Right.
So I've learned how to own who I am in public. And like, if you go to my Spotify profile, like, there's no hiding it.
Right.
The very first line in my profile talks about my pronouns.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, you know what? With a handshake, you're gonna know exactly who I am and what I'm about.
And I love that it's on your
And
website too. And like, Jolie, call me them, call me they. That's super cute.
it's just it's there. It's so cool to be able to do that, and being in Tonewall specifically just like gives me the opportunity to sort of push the boundaries every single time.
Mm-hmm.
And I love all of the people that are in. So that crown piece was actually my friend Ryan's, and he had on this like Rihanna crown, and he also had that piece. And I'm like, well, you can't be the only one with a crown on.
You're like, no.
So I borrowed that one and I pinned it to my hair so it stayed in place. But
I love it.
yeah.
Well, I would love to show the performance that you sent me. Somebody kill you? No, TSV, never.
No.
And token straight fan of Kisos, am not ashamed. We love it. We need our allies, baby. Okay, let me show you all this performance. Oh, official video.
Oh yeah. I'm one of the soloists on this.
I know, Jolie opening it. BTS is killing you, like the group. So this is the acapella group that Jolie is in.
And it's a very low-key video.
Well, it's cute already.
Aaliyah and Cassie from...
Oh my gosh, that guy looks familiar.
Thank you. Thank you, Cassie.
I think I hooked up with him. No, I'm just kidding.
It's very possible. New York is such a small world.
Yeah, and Jolie did the cover themselves.
Mm-hmm. This was the first time I had ever done a shoot involving a drone before.
I was gonna say, like, I don't think this is stock footage.
Cool. No, there's this cliff. So our director Timorel brings us all out to his house for a cappella retreat once a year out in Pennsylvania. And it's just these gorgeous places to go hiking and walking. So cool.
I'm so into this. Where was this?
That's in... I don't remember.
The state of New York, maybe?
No, it's definitely Pennsylvania.
The state of Pennsylvania.
Yes.
How long ago was this?
This was 2 years ago?
Just 1 year. The video, at least.
We filmed it 2 years ago.
Yeah, I was gonna say, the video, like the posting. I'm about to say fucking and move far into the woods. You could. You might accidentally come upon a great choir as well, TSV. So is this an original song? Because I just haven't heard of this.
No, so this is just an obscure Zed song.
Oh, right there. Find You by Zed, performed by Tonewall. Interesting.
But the arrangement was just so good. I think.
Oh, is there someone in there? Is there someone in that waterfall?
That's Stephen Fuller. I love him. One of my favorite Messy Leos.
my God, that was so good. I'm like, oh, that was it? It's over? Okay, I
That was
want
also
more.
recorded and edited and by yours truly.
Oh, oh. So she really do it all. She
I'm
really
trying.
do it all. And you also have a
Using this
couple.
microphone right behind me.
Oh, hey,
Yes.
Mikey. And I was going to say, also, just want to talk about really quick. I know you have two different podcasts. One of them is more personal, just kind of, you sharing your life. And then you also
Yeah.
have this QPOC life, this queer
These
people of
cute
color
pod life.
life, which I will link that website here as well.
I
So,
know passions.
well, I actually haven't listened to that one. Um, I mean, I'm assuming it's about living as a queer POC person, but are there any like
hmm
specific other, like, I guess, how is it different from your own podcast? What's your favorite part about it? Um,
Um, that podcast is that like being able to talk to my three very good friends, Jonathan Gibbs, Carlos Rios, and Zach
mm-hmm,
Ayers. They're just they're so smart and um they're also distinct. They're such distinct people,
mm-hmm,
but somehow we're able to find this commonality in our experience as queer people of color, and that's what we talk about. And there's a couple of episodes on there that are there's one that's a tribute to Final Fantasy.
oh,
That's super
come
fun.
on, gamer.
And we talk about that too. We actually did a panel at PAX East a couple years ago about bullying, which was really really cool. And um, we talk about a whole range of topics, and sometimes it's silly, sometimes it's very serious. Um, but we just have such a great dynamic between the four of us
Mm-hmm.
that is really really fun. We actually won the uh public access, what's the word I'm looking for? There's a public access TV station here in Brooklyn called Brick.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so they also have a podcasting studio. And so they have awards every year. And this QPOC Life brought home the People's Choice Award, which
Oh,
is super cool.
awesome.
So we just it's really great to just have that sort of group therapy space to talk
Mm-hmm.
through those things, because the thing that we didn't expect people to latch on to was talking about self-care at the beginning of every episode, and what we did the week before as self-care.
Mm.
And it's interesting because as people of color, and especially as queer people of color, it's very easy to forget to do the things that make sure that you're okay, that
Mm-hmm.
aren't the aromatherapy and aren't the um hot
Right.
baths
I was going to say more than
in
just taking a
bubbles.
bath.
Exactly. So it gives us that space to sort of get into how strange it can be, how gritty it can be, how um um what's the word I'm looking for?
You're just getting real about it.
Exactly.
Really
Exactly.
real. I love that. So let's kind of talk about the important, the biggest, juiciest part of today, which is just managing everything that we
Yeah.
do. Because as we've gone through today, you've seen Jolie design for other people and themselves, music, production, editing video, podcast number one, podcast number two, tone wall. I don't know. I think I said like some things multiple times, but still, it's a lot. And for me, I feel very similarly. I'm doing music, I'm doing PR for myself and
hmm
marketing. I'm doing, I have my main job as marketing for other people. I do Twitch. Sometimes if I need money, I'm out doing figure modeling or,
Right.
other things. And it's like one of my biggest struggles has just been, how do you do everything and still find time to wash your own body, wash your clothes,
hmm
eat a food or
hmm
two, see a friend
Right.
once or twice,
Right.
and just sleep, maybe do a jumping jack or, a squat or two, like
Just a singular jumping jack.
just a,
Just
just
one.
a. It's too much time. I gotta get my arm over here and over here. I gotta make sure I got room. Oh, nope. No time for that. Because obviously it's like there's so many things we want to do, and how do we prioritize all of these different things,
Right.
because they're all important to us, but what is what are we most passionate about, or what is going to bring in the money? How do we balance that? And so I just wanted to kind of talk with you about what tips do you have, what struggles do you have, and we're going to have a very open conversation. Obviously, chat is
Mm-hmm.
always open. Feel free to, cry with us and
Please, please.
gain strength with us and stress with us and, tell your deepest, darkest secrets because we will be.
Ah.
What actually really inspired me to talk about this with you, and I was telling you this before we started,
Mm-hmm.
that's why I gotta do it. Yeah, jumping jack while you record your music. Yeah, just get the foot stomp in the track, Sophie
It's got
style.
you got to make sure that it's a dance track so that the
Right.
jumping jack makes sense. Because
But
if
I
you're
was,
doing this on your microphone, you can hear that.
well, that can be a cool effect too, but maybe for a different part. But yeah, what really I was like, okay, like for sure I want Jolie on like as ASAP. Was especially when you were talking about you had an episode of your own individual
Yeah.
podcast, which by the way, I know I'm putting like a lot of links out here, but I'm just gonna put a link to Jolie's website, which has absolutely everything on there, streaming links for music and podcasts and all of that. And then here is also a link to their Twitch, which also has those things. Yeah, but I was listening to your podcast and you were talking about having working for clients, having clients come to you and you're working for them and stuff, and they're like, oh, where's this
Mm-hmm.
thing? And just sometimes worse, at least for me personally, and I think I resonated with what you were saying, because it felt like it was coming from a similar place, was just sometimes you have work, you have people paying you, and you just can't get the motivation to do it. It's like maybe you're
Right.
scared of starting, maybe you're scared of failing. I often am motivated by guilt, which is not a healthy
Mm-hmm.
thing. Where I'm like, okay, I haven't worked on this person in like a week. I really need to start working on it. That's the only reason. Or like they're disappointed in me. Oh, okay, now I'll start working harder. And it's
Right.
like, that is super poisonous for me myself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, just so I'm trying to find more healthy ways to motivate myself, more healthy ways to make sure that I'm making time for the things I need to make time for, while also
Right.
making sure that even if it's not the most fun thing to do, is send tons of emails and stuff to other people,
Mm-hmm.
remind myself of why I'm doing it and all of that stuff. So I just wanted to shoot the shit with
For
all of
sure,
you.
there is a lot of shit to shoot.
There's a lot of shit to shoot. So I guess I kind of we'll start with some more like the business side of it. Like what do you personally, are there any like, I know you mentioned like one service that you use to kind of keep yourself organized and
Mm-hmm.
everything, keep the flow there. Like what tips do you have in that realm?
So what I have found, like I actually used to be one of those people who tried to find an app for every little thing.
Mm,
It's like there has to be an app I can use for project management. There has to be an app I can use for this. There has to be an app I can use for that. There has to be an app I can use for this. And honestly speaking, sometimes just having one thing that's not meant to do any of that and you just figure out how to make it work for you is the best thing you can possibly do.
meaning what?
Because so I use there's this really great app called Notion that's I think you can download it for free on Android and iOS, and there's desktop apps.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a notebook app and you can do all sorts of stuff with it. Like you can make databases inside of this
Oh.
app, which is kind of cool. Um and so what that allowed me to do was consolidate all of these different things and methods that I was trying to keep track of projects and to keep track of clients and the things that clients are sending me and just
Mm-hmm.
all the pieces of communication that go on. Because if you're doing multiple projects for one client, you have several email threads that are just all over
Right.
the place and you're trying to keep track of all those things.
Mm-hmm.
um it turns into a lot. So what I've have now is just sort of this notebook system where I can take the essential pieces of what my clients are talking about and just paste it in there
Mm-hmm.
so that I can come back to that and that's my record versus diving through my emails like, what did they say again? What was I supposed to do? Why was I supposed to do this?
Right.
Why are they wrong?
Right. What did I need to correct their asses on?
Right.
But that makes sense. Honestly, I just use kind of like I have a note in my phone of just kind of general things I need to do regarding
Mm-hmm.
everything. And then for
Mm-hmm.
clients, I have kind of like, I can show you all, but I have like different folders and things. For me, it doesn't get too crazy because I only work with like 3 artists at a time tops. But they're also not sending me like tons of links and things. You know, it's kind of like
Mm-hmm.
they send me everything at once and they're done. And then from there, I just am keeping track of stuff in like a spreadsheet of who I am hitting or who I need to, you know, follow up
Right.
with or anything like that. But I personally do it kind of like this, where you can see I have like, oh, there's me, there's one client, there's another client, here's inactive clients, here's some like general things that, you know, maybe I need to make a copy of this thing
Mm-hmm.
and, you know, whatever. Okay. And then within this person's thing, I have their report that I send them. I have their, you know, most recent press release. And then I have, you know, pictures. Here's where like everything they sent me, their pictures and, you know, any other write-ups that they had. Um,
That's great.
for me. So that's what I personally do, but I know there's a lot of other things people use like Notion. I'm definitely curious about people use like Trello. You know, cuz my method doesn't necessarily have anything that will like remind me or I can't. I also just put a lot of stuff in my calendar. But that is kind of, you know, all these different, it's a little all over the place. It's manageable for
Right.
me, but I don't know how manageable it is for
Well,
other people and
that's what matters. You have to find out what works for you.
right. I just
And
want to
I
provide
feel
a wealth
like
of options, you know, for people.
exactly. And sometimes having too many options becomes a problem in and of itself because
Mhm.
suddenly you're not managing the things that you have to do, you're managing the programs that you're using
Mhm.
to manage the things you have to do.
Right. And then you're like, okay, these
And
programs are taking up as much time as a client just handling it.
exactly. Especially because like all of these little apps, they send you notifications for things that have nothing to do
Right.
with what you have to do.
Delete that shit.
And so
Unsubscribe.
it's just it's so annoying.
Mhm.
So annoying. I didn't download this app so you can tell me how useful your app is. I downloaded this app to be useful for me because
Right.
I need it to do this thing.
Right, right.
So, um and also just like you'll get an app and it'll show you all features that you feel like you're underutilizing the app
Mm.
and you feel a sort of sense of guilt because you feel like you're not using the app for in the way that it was intended to be used.
Mhm.
And the truth of the matter is you can use an app however the hell you want to.
Jesus.
You just have to do what makes sense for you.
Right. Yeah.
So like if that's having a Google folder with spreadsheets and pictures and files inside of it, great. I have that too for all the little pieces that I need for managing my brand as artist and as my portfolio for my design stuff.
Yeah.
And like you have to just do what's going to work. And I use a physical notebook
Mhm.
for just sort of like getting for brain dumping because you can imagine with all the things that I do, there's a million different things happening in my head all at
Yeah.
once. So I need a place that I could just sort of get all of that out. And there's just something great about putting a pen to paper and writing it out.
It's true.
And then I can pick out the things that I just need to focus on and then
Mhm.
go and do them.
Yeah.
Because I'm the kind of person who gets wrapped up in the big picture. And then I get so lost in the big picture that I forget how to take all the little pieces that
Yeah.
are doable right now and have nothing to do with me having such and such happen a year from now.
Right.
I just have to focus on what's happening now.
Yeah. No, I very much relate to that. And I was going to
Mm-hmm.
say too, kind of talking about that, like, because we're managing all these different things and all these avenues, like, I often found it hard. Not that I could probably make time for certain things, but it would just be a thing of my personal struggle was like, okay, I'm like, well, I don't want to work on music if unless I have like a couple hours that I can spend. I don't want to do this unless I can like really focus on it. Or I don't want to go to the gym unless I have like a full hour and I can do that. And that was
Mm-hmm.
something that really was getting in the way. But I also was, you know, for my clients, for my main job where people are paying me, you know, money per month, I'm like, okay, well, let me prioritize this. But then I would end up
Mm-hmm.
spending, you know, way more time than I needed to on something because I would just feel kind of like, oh, I need to do more. I need to do more. I need to do more.
Right.
So
Right.
one thing that I've been doing a lot more recently is like getting away from feeling like I need to spend a specific amount of time on
Mm-hmm.
certain tasks, but also
Mm-hmm.
making sure that I'm like, okay, if I spend 2 hours on this person in a day, that is plenty. Like that's
Yeah.
enough to get
Yeah.
my shit done with them. So now well, I haven't done it recently, but last week, well, yeah, no, that wasn't recent. I don't know what I'm talking about. My brain is
Yes, you
mush.
do.
My brain is mush. Um,
I've been there
I
too, girl.
well, I guess I was gonna say I didn't do it last week because I switched it up where, um, basically before doing other work, I started doing
Mm-hmm.
music. So I was like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
well, let me just spend some time mixing this. Let me spend some time doing this that normally in a day I wouldn't have even gotten to because I'd be like, oh, I got to do this stuff for the client first. I got to do this. I got to do this. Oh, I'm tired. Let me take a
Right.
break. Oh, let me do this.
Right.
Oh, now I got to stream. Okay, day's over. Didn't do music. And that happened for like 4 months in a row, or
Mm-hmm.
7 or 20. So, or like my whole life, I'm not actually existent. I haven't done anything since I was a baby. I'm still googling, goggling. This is a voice recorder. Anyway, but so yeah, that really helped. And then I'm just like, after, it's 6 p.m., I'm like, okay, let me just take some like 10, even if it's 10 minutes, let me just go
Mm-hmm.
like jump in my room for 10 minutes, get my blood flowing, get some cardio, lift
Right.
somebody's weight up. Um,
Right.
and just doing that has been really helpful for me to feel productive and feel like, okay, I can do all of these things at once. Even if I'm not spending quite as much time as I would want to on these things, I'm still spending, 20 minutes is more than I had literally 20 minutes on
Yep.
music was more than I had spent cumulatively in like 3 months.
Right. No,
So,
right. And part of what the homework I'm doing right now is understanding that I'm operating very reactively. Like I'm doing things because something is
mm,
calling my attention to go
yeah,
and do that thing. And part of that is just sort of like how we're wired, but also like how our phones are training us to respond.
mm-hmm,
Where, oh, buzz buzz, I need to go and look at this thing
yeah. I've been deleting
versus
social media a lot more recently and like turning off my
yeah,
phone like all day yesterday
yeah.
or almost all
It's
day.
it's so important to do, and I'm doing that more and more myself because I want to be more proactive because I I want to be the kind of business person who's ahead of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
So that way
The
when
ball.
surprises the ball. So when surprises do happen, I'm in a better position to do something about it versus um like, oh my god, I'm in panic mode because I procrastinated much longer than I really needed to.
Mm-hmm. Right. Which
And
happens to me all the
now
time.
I'm in crunch time.
And you're extra
And
stressed and you're like, I don't got time
right,
to eat now. I really don't got time
right,
for this. You're having stress diarrhea.
right. And
Oof.
then the client starts having emergencies
Right.
because things they weren't thinking about, all of a sudden they're thinking about, and now it's your problem.
Mm.
So, and it made me think about, okay, like in school, I felt like I got so many things done, right?
Yes.
And part of that is because they hand you a schedule that you stick to,
Yeah.
right? You know where you're supposed to be, when you're supposed to be there. Your mind is able to transition from English class to math class to science class during the time that you're walking from one classroom to the next one.
Right.
Then but and you're able to learn about so many different things and do so many different things over the course of one day,
Mm-hmm.
and nobody teaches you how to carry that over into the rest of
Right.
life, right? So like I look at my calendar and I'm using like a Google calendar, and I look at all of these blocks of time where I can be like, okay, I can spend an hour on this, I can spend an hour on that, I can spend an hour on this,
Mm-hmm.
and see how far I get. But there's the piece of it that I want to work on where it's about not just doing the work, but having a plan before I even do the work.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and if I'm applying this to writing a song, right? Somebody tells me, "Oh, I want to release a single in the next 2 months." I'm like, "Okay, did you start writing the song? No.
Uh,
Uh, is your social media ready? No. Do you have artist photos? No. Do you have a marketing plan? No. Like
Right.
all of these little pieces that people don't necessarily think about because they've never done it before.
Mm-hmm.
So there's an element of, yeah, let's hurry up and do it so that way you can figure out the things that you don't know, because we don't know what we don't know until we don't know.
Right.
But also once you know better, then do better, so that way you're not flying by the seat of your pants.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, if I'm designing a website, what I've started doing is observing what my workflow is and the pieces that I know my client needs, and the pieces I know my clients typically are not thinking about that I know they need to be thinking about.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And trying to stay ahead of them, so that way it's not a surprise for them when it comes down the line, and I already had a solution in place before they got there.
Right.
So now I'm thinking about my own music release schedule, and it's gotten thrown around this way and that way.
Yeah.
For all sorts of reasons. Like, I wanted to have like 3 songs out by now, 3 extra songs out
Same.
on top of
Supposed to
Sweet
have
Love,
my
right?
EP out at the beginning of this month. How many songs do I have out? When?
I was supposed to have a single out for February, and it's now August.
Right.
Like, there's so many other pieces involved, because now I'm not just thinking about, oh, I want to release a new song because I want to release it. I'm like, what's the most appropriate time of year for this kind of sound?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I want to put out this remix of Sweet Love, but I'm missing this window to put out a dance remix because summer's about to end. All of the Fire Island parties are ending.
Right. Although I will say
everyone's back in back to school mode soon.
Yeah. Although I will say that another thing that I've learned very recently is to not be too precious about your work, in the sense of like not overthinking it, not putting something off just because you think you might hit a better window. Because sometimes you might miss something that you didn't even realize. Like, there was this person who wanted to interview me for Huffington Post. It wasn't like an official editor, but it was like a contributor, like community piece. But still,
awesome.
my name would have been in the Huffington Post. But I was like, oh, you know what? Let me wait until like my EP is almost done. Let me just finish that. And by the time I finished my EP and hit him back up, he was like, oh, like, I'm so sorry, but the community like thing that I would have posted it in, that doesn't exist anymore on Huffington Post. So like, you can't be in the Huffington Post anymore, or at least for that.
Like, when the window of opportunity opens, jump through that window if you can.
Right. So I feel like it's kind of like, make the song, finish it. Don't overthink it too much, because everybody also loves a dance song when nobody else is releasing dance songs.
This is true.
You know,
this is very true.
They're like, I'm trying to party. It is snowing outside. I'm trying to party in my living room. I'm trying to, sweet love, go Jolie, go Jolie. Hi, Manuel. But yeah, I had a tarot reading that like blew my mind and changed my life the other day from a friend. And that was basically her thing, was like, don't be too precious with your music or your art or anything that you're doing. Is literally just like, do it, fill it with love, get it to where it's ready, get it to where you're happy with it. Plan things out. Don't be rash, but just don't wait. Don't pause your life for this perfect thing, because all you're doing is stopping your flow of creativity. Like, when you release that, you will have a ton of songs coming after, and you know, it's a bottomless well of creativity. So
yeah, I'm also what I want to, another thing I want to do better at, like all of these things I want to be better at. Right?
Yeah, as we all do. If you don't want to be better at things, what are you doing?
What are you even doing?
Do you want a good life?
Do you want to succeed? And that's the real question. Like, fear of success is a real thing. And
also recognizing that you might already be successful. You can want more success.
Right. Like looking at myself as an example, and I think about, number one, I put out my first single ever. I did it myself. I mixed it myself. Like, I'm responsible for 90% of the pieces involved. And that's no small feat. And I managed to do it. I got my profile set up, like all of the pieces are there. And now, these months later, like I look at the stats and I'm at 11,000 and I'm just like, wow.
Yeah.
For my first song and it's a cover, that's not a small thing.
Right. And it's cool that too, like, well, I guess not cool. That's not the right word at all. But it's like we have to applaud ourselves for all these little things that no one else will applaud us for. Like people will applaud for, you know, getting the streams and the numbers. That's great. And we deserve, you know, applause for these certain things. But it's also like we have to recognize, okay, just because no one's going to applaud me for setting up my artist profile and, you know, doing this thing and writing my bio and, you know, putting my shit here, like that is all so much stuff. And just having your music out, being able to survive, being able to, you know, be in Tonewall and, you know, have your podcast and be releasing music and be able to not have to work a 9 to 5. For some people, that's totally lit. That's fine. For a lot of people, they don't like it. So being able to actually survive doing what you want to do, even if it's not at the standard of life that you want, that's success to me. But do I want more? Yes.
I agree with that. Like, it's funny. What a few years ago, I was seeing a therapist at Apacha, which is a health resource here in the city. They're amazing. And the therapist challenged me when people ask me what I do to tell them that I am an artist and to own that. And to this day, it's still a challenge for me when somebody's like, so what do you do? I'm like, well, a lot.
Yeah.
So I'm owning that piece of it and learning how to celebrate those small things, because the truth of the matter is, not only like I finished a song and I put it out there. Are there things that I hear that I wish I could have done better? Sure. But at some point I had to say this is finished and I put it out.
Right. Yeah.
And now I'm seeing what's possible. And I don't want to get caught up in the what ifs, but just the success and the small numbers from that one song. I'm like, if I now follow up and get my music out there more and more, because I have this evidence that people want to listen to what I'm putting out there.
Right.
Like, I might not have money to pay the rent, but I can at least do my laundry and buy some groceries, you know? And so...
Exactly. Artist, Jolie. Own that shit.
I am passionate.
Yeah, but business owner, artist. But I do notice that too. Like with myself, I'm like, oh, like, yeah, I do music marketing and I'm a musician too. Like I kind of say, and I'm a musician too. Because there's a lot of times when I don't really feel it, especially before, you know, now I've had my ego boosted a little time, so I can be like, yeah, I've been in, you know, Billboard, you know, no big deal. You know, no one else from my hometown has ever been there, but you know, whatever. But it's just, you know, I still feel that though, because it's like, okay, but if someone comes to my page, they're gonna be like, he was in Billboard, like the song's great, but like 400 listeners, like what? So it's still being like, okay, you know, so maybe depending on who I'm meeting, I emphasize a different thing. But yeah, forcing myself to be like, I'm a musician. And we do a lot of stuff. It's normal to say like, oh, I do a lot of things, but you also have to be confident. Like, yeah, you know, I'm a creator. I'm an artist. I hate the word content creator. I don't know why. I just feel like content is so empty. It feels like
it makes
so
you
make
feel like
anything,
you're writing a blog.
It's just like everything is content. Exactly. So it's like, no, I'm a musician. Exactly. I'm an entertainer. I'm a business owner.
Thank you.
Yeah, it lacks specifics, and for me, that's too boring. Like, I don't want to be a content creator. I want to be the specific things that I am. You know.
Yep.
And then I'm doing.
I'm glad you're having fun listening to this, Passion.
Yeah. Don't have too much to add. Well, that's okay. But Passion does a lot of stuff too. Like Passion does like little, you know, like video edits and like his own like little music production, even if he ain't putting music out, you know, knows like all these little things. And
was that a read?
No, I'm just trying to say, and like, I mean, I would love for Passion to put out music. Passion produced my new album challenge. But I just mean, like, even if you don't see it, like, that's the other thing too. Like, all these people are working on all these things. Like, that's why I really wanted to talk about this with you, because like, you're someone else who's doing a billion things just like everyone else is, but we don't really hear that much about it, because everyone just talks about how, yeah, keep grinding, keep hustling, man. Yeah, love the grind. Oh yeah, working hard, always motivated.
And honestly, I used to
It's like, I
be
hate
super
hustling.
proud of like the word hustle,
Yeah.
but it's become a word that I'm trying to distance myself from a little bit. And yeah, is there an element of having to put a little hustle in your bustle to get things done?
Yeah.
Sure. But what I have found, and the thing that I'm dealing with now, is that it's put me in survival mindset versus figuring out how to thrive, which is the whole point of what I'm trying to do in my podcast. It's like going through that homework to get the switches to realign. So that way I'm not just thinking about, oh my God, how do I get the rent paid? How do I keep Sally Mae off my back?
Right.
And how do I keep ramen noodles on the shelf?
Right. Right, because
like,
that's the other thing. Like, I feel like the hustle is glamorized so much, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, but everyone does have a hustle. Everyone does have their
Right.
dream, like you said, bean dealer.
Right.
But it's like, I don't want to be hustling, because hustling means I'm on food stamps and I can't like go do things with friends, and I can't go do things with my boyfriend very often, and I can't,
Right.
you know, take a trip or anything. Like, yeah,
Right.
it's necessary, I guess, but it's not glamorous. But I guess it's just glamorized in the sense of like, I guess people just, I don't know, when people say it, I get annoyed, but in the same sense, I can see how it's kind of just like, yo, respect. Like, everything sucks. I know that too, but like, we're working for it to be so much better.
Right.
And the thing is, some people are there, and that's true too. Some people are there. Some people have made it. People have made it out.
Right.
And they won't be the last.
But
and the term
honestly,
starving artist, yeah. I mean, although that's literally true for some of us as well.
It is.
But it's not nice.
I've lost 8 pounds.
Yeah, literally, Joey was saying that if you weren't here.
But when I think about the figuring out how to obtain your dream, and I used to hate the word sacrifice, but honestly, and now I have to own the fact that I have sacrificed a lot. I've sacrificed healthy relationships with my friends. I've sacrificed healthy relationship with myself. Possibility for romantic relationships. I've sacrificed my financial health. I've put my family's financial health on the line, which makes me feel terrible. I want a healthier relationship with my family, and I love my family, and I have a lot of from my family, and I want to be better for my family. And I want to be able to give my family things that they've given me all of these years and kept me paying and kept a roof over my head, and now I want to pay that back.
Right. It's one of those things where it's like, you know how much you're investing now, where even if you feel guilty and all of these terrible things, you're like, you have to have that fire, and I know you do, where it's like, okay, like, I know how, even if it's not like bad, but you know how much of a struggle it is right now, but just think about how much exponentially better it's gonna be, like, every time you have to sacrifice something for yourself, or, you know, even if it, you know, like you're saying, puts someone else at risk, and, you know, obviously that always feels terrible, but you're like, okay, but maybe that will be the last time that ever happens, and this time next year I'll be able to like give some nice gift to them or do something, because my design's gonna be popping off, my music's gonna have a little more love in, and all of that. So I'm like, honestly, I feel guilty being on food stamps a lot of the time, because I'm like, well, I could just get a 9 to 5. I could just go do this. I could, you know, be a manager somewhere, make 70, 80K, whatever. Why am I not doing that? Why am I living off of the government? Why am I, you know, whatever? And then it's like, okay, but you know what? Or I feel like, you know, people are giving me handouts or whatever. And it's like, well, maybe they are. Number one, who cares? Number two, I'm not going to be in this position forever, and soon enough I'm going to be extra excited, you know, to support and advocate for people who have been in my position, but also just be able to give back to, like you're saying, family and everyone, because we will be able to eventually.
Yes. No, exactly. And I that's what's motivating me now, and it's helping me it helps bringing me back to the reasons why I want to affect all of this change for myself. and it's hard work, and a lot of days it's like trudging through muck and mire to
Yeah.
do it. It's worth it for me, and
Yeah.
I'm learning how to deal with that and to sort of give myself permission to trip up over myself and make mistakes, and having to own up to, like, empty promise syndrome, where I've been promising people, oh, I've got new music coming, I've got this coming, that's coming,
Yeah.
this is happening, and then it doesn't happen, and now I'm in a position where I'm just like, oh shoot,
Right. And then at a certain point you just get overwhelmed from all the guilt and all of these things, and you just want to like
exactly,
deatomized by
imposter
Kisos.
and makes you feel like you're not actually worth all of the things that you say that you're worth.
Mm-hmm.
And so now you have to own that. You have to own the ways that you've tripped up. You have to own the fact that you haven't been able to keep your word, and all of the reasons and excuses that we make, and carry that forward. Feel what you have to feel, set it aside, and then get back to making a plan.
Mm-hmm.
Because all of those things, I find, for me, distract me from being able to just take pencil and my paper and focus and put things into something that I can do something about right now,
Mm-hmm.
versus thinking about, oh, taxes.
Right. I do think about that a lot.
Right.
I'm like, oh, I got a good amount of money saved up. Oh wait, that's like all for taxes. Okay.
Exactly. So, like, just it's easy to get hung up on all of the things that are going wrong, and you forget all of the things that are going right, and all of the things you still can do
Mm-hmm.
to get you out of that situation.
Mm-hmm.
And I've let myself get into that situation more than once in this past 8 months.
Yeah.
And,
Been there.
like, it's just you gotta as much as it's, you have to own the parts of yourself that are worth celebrating. You've got to own the parts of yourself that get in your way,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to deal with them. And it's shitty.
Yeah.
there's no nice way to deal with it.
Yeah, it's not easy. It's not glamorous. Bean Dealer said, those handouts are people who believe in you. Never see them as handouts. They aren't. It's a statement of, I believe in you. That's a really, really beautiful way.
Deal with that.
Yeah.
I just had to deal with that.
How so?
I think I talked about it on my podcast.
Oh, right. You did.
Because like early June was bad.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I had no money. I had no way of making the rent. I didn't know what I was going to do. And I'm not somebody who asks for help easily. And so I made a public Facebook post, or at least as public as I get on Facebook, and let people know what was going on. And like, before you know it, people were sending me money on Venmo, or when I saw them in person, were sliding me cash, and suddenly I had the rent.
Mm-hmm.
And I was able to hand over the rent, and I just had to talk to my landlord and be like, look, just wait to deposit the check. And he was real cool about it. And
yeah.
then, like, I'm not completely out of the woods yet. Like, I don't have money stored in my accounts where I can be like, okay, rent's cool. Like, I'm still depending on the jobs I do have from clients for me to get the money for the rent, like, that week.
Right.
So I can then Venmo my sister, who's my roommate, to rent. So it still feels like, it still feels like I'm in hustle mode.
Mm-hmm.
And I very much am in hustle mode, and I'm trying to put my pieces together so I can get out of hustle mode, so that way I can focus on the things that I want to be doing, which is putting out more music.
Right. Music and just creating in general.
Right.
I was gonna say, yeah, that's something that I had to learn very much as well, to just like not so much as asking for help, that is, I mean, that's something I guess I just learned a little bit sooner. I fell in love with I can't remember her name. Oh my God. From the Dresden Dolls, Amanda. Is it Amanda?
Palmer.
Amanda Palmer. Yeah, her like TED talk on the art of asking, like that revolutionized my life. Just where she's like, people will help you. All you have to do is ask. So literally, I even took that, you know, mindset to Twitch. And that's why, you know, other people might see certain things as like, oh, self promo, like, oh, shouting yourself out, like how sketchy or whatever. And it's like, why, if there's new people here, why wouldn't I ask them to follow me? Why wouldn't I say, hey, listen to my music? And even sometimes I'm like, oh, your camera just exploded.
Oh,
who's that Pokemon?
did my battery die?
It's Jolie. Do your thing, no worries. I'll just talk in the background.
Oh my gosh.
Do you have a ceiling light, or that was your only light?
That was my little camera light. I just can't believe it just died. Yeah, we're watching The Ring now, Passion.
Yeah, no, I had to like change my like setup so that my light could always be on. I was gonna say, like, all of a sudden you got darker, and then I was like, oh, is it a, and then it died right then. I was like, oop.
Yeah, I need to get an adapter for this light, because
yeah, I had to get one that I could plug in, because otherwise it only lasts like, yeah, I think I have a very similar like pack or light.
Makes me crazy.
But, and then I was gonna say, one of the things, like, Twitch has been one of the things that I'm consistently good at, because I have set such a good schedule for it. And it's hard to always be able to do that for every project and everything and be super consistent. But what I've started doing as well.
But you have a community holding you accountable.
Well, yes. So Twitch is easy. Again, yeah, like you said, because there's a community holding me accountable. You know, I've had pretty good success. In the beginning, you know, I was like, okay, how long is this gonna take to like get someone to get anything happening here? So I was like pretty close to giving up before like a few people like came and found me and started coming back. And then I was like, I had like another plateau. And once I broke like 2 plateaus, I was like, okay, I'm in this for sure. But then Cindy, the TV's leaking. Hi, Owie. But then for other things, it's like, okay, but that's, how come that's the only thing I'm consistent on? How come, you know, sometimes I won't start working on my clients until 2 p.m. and I won't start doing anything until 2 p.m. How come this? How come that? How come this? But I've started to be like, okay, so if my streaming schedule is, you know, at 8 p.m. at night and I don't stream on like certain days, then at that time, instead of not streaming, you know, maybe I'll take the day off sometimes because I want to, I deserve to, I need to. But other times, like, okay, well, instead of spending the work on streaming, I'm gonna do some music or do some admin stuff, or you know, Wednesday, Thursdays I stream during the day at 3 p.m. So I'm like, okay, now Monday, Tuesday at 3 p.m. I'm like, I could be using that time to do something else. So, you know, I'm gonna like just setting out a couple blocks of time for like, okay, maybe I'll go to the gym at this time, maybe I'll do this, where there's still plenty of flexibility in my schedule. It's not like I have every hour mapped out, because I tried to do that before and that was a fail. So more just being like, okay, well, I know like this chunk of time I want to make sure that I wake up, I do music no matter what. Then this chunk of time I can, you know, do some work, eat breakfast, even not do anything for a little bit, because part of the reason why I want to work for myself was so I didn't have to work all the time and I could just watch a YouTube or a YouPorn or, you know, you know, whatever. So
it
yeah,
should be free.
Right. It's being real. Yeah, so just kind of giving myself a set schedule, but also being super flexible and super understanding of the way I work instead of doing what I feel like I should be doing.
Right.
Because whenever I do that, that don't work.
Yeah, that whole the feel like I should be doing this thing is,
and that's not fun.
Real.
It's not motivating. And that's why I don't work on music.
That's part of what appeals to me about setting up a Twitch stream and watching you do what you do, but also thinking about, well, what if I did music production on my Twitch stream? Because then I'm doing something that people are actively holding me accountable for doing music on my stream. And now that my computer's set back up, I can start doing that again.
Right. That's why I wanted to start doing production too, because I'm like, okay, well, I'm really great at streaming in terms of being on it. I'm not the best streamer. Don't come for me, Owie. Don't give me some sass. Don't give me some sass right now.
Oh no, but do bring the sass.
Bring
I
the
love
sass.
sass.
Bring it. Kill me.
More sass.
Kill me,
Because
mommy.
we're real serious and we need some more sass in the.
But yeah,
But I
so
love
feeling
it.
like, okay, well, if I'm always on top of streaming, why don't I incorporate actually, rehearsing when I'm playing guitar, actually rehearsing songs more instead of just like going through the motion, playing the song, singing it, blah, 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 blah. And let me
Right.
do some production. Let me, even if it's not, something that's going to be on my EP, but still just flexing my muscle and all of that
Right.
stuff. So,
Right. Exactly. Like so I sent you a link to this. There was this I think it was this last year. There was this challenge called January,
oh,
and
yes.
this happens every year. And typically it's musicians who are like practicing or making like a little piece of music every day. And then I took that and I'm like, let me try to produce a little beat every day
Mm.
for January.
Oh, let me play
And
a couple.
so I'm looking forward to like the next iteration of that
Mm-hmm.
I want to try to participate in. And I'm like, oh well, what if I did that on Twitch and people get to watch me do that?
Yeah. And that's
You
fun. That's
know?
actually what Ross's boyfriend does every Saturday. He comes up with like a beat over like 2 hours. He creates a thing and then makes it like free use or fair use or whatever. So you can like download
Mm-hmm.
all the beats, use them in the background of your stuff. So I think that's super cute. I did something kind of similar, and I'm such a perfectionist with my music. Even if it doesn't come out the best, I'm learning, okay? But I'm such a perfectionist in the sense of like, okay, well, until I think it's good enough, I don't want to release it. So I spend so much time on these things. And then I really got a wake up call when my most popular song, not including the singles, well, like
Mm-hmm.
it's basically caught up to my singles. But
Mm-hmm.
my most popular song is one that I did in like 24 hours for a similar type of thing like that, a challenge,
Yeah.
where I just put it out, wrote it really quick, made it in 24 hours, and now it has 3,000 plays and is my third most listened to song
Right.
behind 3,500 plays. Like it has 300 plays less than something that came out like a year and a half before it. So like
Right.
that's
Because
another thing
honestly,
about not being too
sometimes.
precious and just being like, I'm gonna make this, I'm gonna release it. Otherwise,
Right.
you
Right.
don't exist if you're not releasing things. So just do it.
That part. That part. Because like at some point you have to realize that done is better than perfect.
Yeah, very
Finished
much
is
so.
better than perfect
Very much so.
every single time. And
Yeah.
when I was working on Sweet Love and I found myself tweaking the tiniest little things that no one's going to be listening for,
Right.
I had to be like, I am doing the most right now and it's not cute.
Yeah.
And I'm just delaying whatever whatever result is I'm anticipating in terms of like, oh my god, people are gonna hate it.
Yeah.
And you have to push yourself past that point. And it's pushing yourself past that point is where being an artist.
Yeah.
And that's where it stops being a hobby.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Because you're saying, okay, this is who I am. This is
Take
what
it or
I'm
leave it,
doing.
baby. This is me though.
Exactly.
And going off of
And
that as well, I was gonna say that like being realistic for us especially, it's like like look at how much basically your music is not going to pop off no matter how much you do for it, no matter how well it
right,
does. It's not
right,
going to pop off in the beginning, so you don't have to stress
right,
about it. Like you don't have to put this much weight into it. You are not a Grammy producer and all you got to do is like make these people happy. Like I
right.
spent so much money on Happily Ever After and I could not be happier with how it turned out and all of the press that it got and stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
it has 5,000, I mean like 5 times as many, or like it has almost 17,000 plays instead of 3,500. Like
Mm-hmm.
how much money did I make off of a song that I spent thousands on? $50 more, 100 more
Right,
dollars.
right.
I mean, yeah, I'm also going to be like pitching it to licensing companies, and I am, and I'm emailing them. We're
Right.
having some
Well,
convos.
well, there you go. I mean,
But
licensing is where the money is at.
yeah.
But also, like, when you're in a space of spending that much money on creating your music, like, it's still the truth where you're earning most of your income as a musician from gigging and from touring.
Mm-hmm.
And until you're in a position to do that, you don't know that maybe now is not the time for me to spend this much money
Right.
producing a song.
Right.
And like, it's important for you to go through that process, and there's still possibility and opportunity for you to recoup the money that you spent recording a
Yeah.
fantastic song. By the way, so good. That opening line, every single time I hear it, I'm like, God damn it, why didn't I write that?
I feel that about so many
good.
artists. I'm like, God, why did you write that song, you bitch? It's so good. I hate you. It's so good. I love you.
So good. The lyrics are so clever.
Hi, Jesse. Well, let me play some January for them as well. Well, finish what you were saying. Finish your thought.
I feel like this light is about to die. I'm gonna go turn on it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think this one's scooting out too.
Yeah, because I'm looking a little dim.
Okay, I'll play some January while you do that. The Ring too, yeah. Okay, let me play with the volume here. I hope that's not too loud. Should be okay. So this is what Jolie was saying they did, like just like a beat a day for all of January. This is also pretty sexy. Yeah. Book a thing. How a thing. How a now. How a hit. How about this is good. See, like that's the thing where it's like, okay, like if I were gonna nitpick or something, it's like, okay, well the synth sound could sound like a little fancier, like we could find a different sound, but overall it's like, you know, like just the layout and how interesting it is and all of that stuff. It's like, it's good, and you did this in barely any time. So like,
right.
You know, that's how we need to. I know I'm not done. We're gonna hit the chorus, Passion. Don't worry. I was like, before we get to the chorus, I just wanted to say like, yeah, like again, this is something my friend really imprinted in me. Like, stop being too precious. Like, make it. It is good. Whatever you're doing, it is good. Make it, iterate, learn, and put it out. And you know, you can do so much in just a couple days.
Right, exactly.
And it don't gotta be perfect. Love that.
Oh, you're listening to Woka Things.
Woka Things. Ooh. Come on, Alicia Keys. Come on, Syncopation. I've missed you, Jesse. Okay, so like, when am I releasing this album of all your beats? When am I? I love this song.
I'm turning a couple of those into full-fledged songs.
Do it. I love this one. Woker Things is great. I mean, honestly, 2 for 2 already. I love them. This one I think I like even more though. Ha! Oh my god, I love that. I love that. I love that. Like, this one could be done. Like, you made a beat in a day that is like done. Like, this is done. You could record vocals over this and you're done.
That was part of my goal. Like, I didn't just want to sort of create cute little things. I wanted to actually like have something that had a cohesive beginning, middle, end. Even if they're short. But like, all of these I can always just chop up and then extend, and then there's a full song.
Right. No, I love it. I love it. Go! Alicia Keys hacked into the studio. Honestly, and you could start submitting, like, submit it to her. Send it to Ms. Keys. Ms. Keys, we have a song for you, okay? Listen up. Listen up, Missy. Yeah. I don't know if I had anything else specifically. Was there anything else on your mind that we wanted to talk about? Or any questions from the audience?
Yeah, word. Do the people have questions?
Have you thrown them on YouTube? Could make some quick coin from people wanting beats for EPs. That's another thing. You could sell some little beats.
No, yeah. I thought about putting some stuff up on BeatStars, and licensing them that way. and then it's just like, oh god, now there's this other business thing that I'm gonna be
Yeah.
dipping my toes into.
But I mean, depending how quick it is, then you wouldn't have to necessarily stress about clients and
Right, right.
but it's
Beats by
all
Joe, exactly.
that's the other thing
We'll
too
just
though is
start a
like,
whole headphone line.
oh, that too. That's the other thing though that is like, okay, sometimes you see this opportunity where you're like, oh, but maybe I could make good money with that, or maybe I could do that, and then you're like, but I'm already doing all these things, so like,
Mhm. It's
what
like,
do I
where do I want to
do? Is it
focus my
worth it to
energy?
drop something off and then do this thing, or should I try to add this on top of it, or should I just ignore that, or
Right,
all of that? So I
right,
feel like that's the biggest kind of, unless you have like one specific thing that you want to do in life. Well, I mean, I guess some of us do, but it's like, okay, well, we're not going to be making hella money off our music just by recording and releasing.
right,
So it's like you always got to think about what else can you do, but then you have less time to do the thing you want to do, and then all of a sudden you're
right.
working 4 jobs, and then you're like, should I just be working a 9 to 5 and making way more money, and then working on music on the weekend? What should I be doing? So it's just like the
Right,
eternal.
right. So to your point,
Hi,
being
Nucci.
finding a lackey to help, like
I
I if
don't,
I'm gonna
Jesse.
have someone help me out, I want to be in a position where I can compensate them.
Yeah.
And I also, like, all of my friends right now, busy people, and so, like, I want to be able to make sure that I can do something to um yeah, just to compensate the folks who are willing to help me out while I'm figuring out how to make money.
Yeah.
And yeah,
That's the other
because the
thing
other part
too.
of it too, it's like, I can be doing all these things, and how do I market the fact that I'm doing all of these things without confusing people? Like, wait a minute, what do you do?
Well, I feel
Huh?
like it's kind of related. I mean, everything you're doing is it all ties into itself. It's not like you're a trapeze artist and a farmer and, a window cleaner and whatever. It's like branding has to do with music and that stuff, and podcasts. It's just all. I think the great thing about people like you and me and a lot of you is
Yeah,
our brands really are just us. It's extensions,
right,
it's all of these different things that we're doing. Like your podcast is your life. Your music is your life in through a different filter. Your design is the
right,
things that you like and see and how you see the world and craft things. Um, so it all very
right.
much intertwines. But that's the other thing, yeah, like you're saying, I tried to have an intern for my company for a little bit, and I was like, everyone else has like unpaid interns, but like I'm barely making money. But like if I have a person paying me like $1,000 a month,
Right.
or even 500, I I can give my intern some of that. Like it's crazy to me when I was working at a PR company, working like had an intern on like 5, 6, 7 campaigns or whatever, and they can't give
Right.
you a freaking dollar. You had to fight
Right.
for like transit. It's like, okay, I'm helping your employee who was running a portfolio of like $10,000 a month. They're getting
Right.
paid like $2,000 a month. They also deserve more, but can I have like 100, 200,
Right.
300?
Right.
But for me, so I was like, okay, well, I'm just gonna take like a percentage of what we make, or I'm gonna like forecast it and be like, okay, well, if I have a client paying me $1,000 this month, I can easily give you like $100, but
Mm-hmm.
I need to also be able to pay rent and stuff. So like that's why I'm taking a lot more than you.
Right.
um but the more we
Right.
work together, the more I can give you, and if you help me enough, then I can take on more clients and I can give you way more money, because maybe I'd be able to take on a whole new client. So instead of me giving you $100, it would be like a certain amount for these clients plus 1,000 just for that new client that you were able to sign
Right.
with me.
Exactly. Exactly.
So
And and there's just when you're pursuing doing music as an artist, or being an artist in general, you start understanding that you're not just in the business of music anymore. You're in so many different kinds of businesses,
yeah.
and you start understanding that are you are a brand, and you are representing an entire industry in and of yourself,
Mm-hmm.
because Like if you think about the big artists like Bruno Mars and Beyonce, and you think about Lizzo right now, it's not just they're not just making money from music, they're making money from their merchandise, they're making money from their appearances, they're making money from this endorsement deal and that endorsement deal and this thing and that thing.
Right.
And so it's important to start thinking about yourself beyond just the music and start looking at the opportunities you might have
Or be able to
to
create.
be able to hello, like I started thinking, people like to buy merch from artists. I have the ability to create my own merch, so let me go ahead and do that.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's on my website right now, and it's not just things that have my name on it and my single titles on it.
Right.
There are things that I really really like and proud of, and people are proud to wear. And so I I'm trying to figure out how to do that at the same time that I'm trying to figure out how to keep putting music out. At the same time that I'm trying to figure out how to get more clients. At the same time that I'm trying to figure out how to do this and to do that.
Right.
And it starts feeling like there's just so many little tiny pieces
Mm-hmm.
to manage. Just all the tiny things.
Right. So that's the eternal struggle. I mean, like we were talking
Right.
about too, just trying to set up the schedule and trying to find what type of management, little apps and things that work for you, whatever styles. Um, what else did we
And
talk about?
if I can also say, having this space to talk about this shit in particular
And that,
is so helpful,
like a
because
network.
the what I did want to say, I did want to find a place to say that what I have loved about releasing my single was being connected with folks out there like you, because what has surprised me about releasing my music and then finding other queer artists of color specifically was how supportive everyone's been and how little ego there has been that I've encountered anyway.
Mm-hmm.
How willing everyone is to share their spotlight.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just sort of started making me think about, like, what's the possibility here for us as musicians, as artists, as queer people in general, to create a different kind of music community, not just for ourselves but for our fans, where we understand that we don't need to um, push the stan culture, so to speak, where we have the ability for, like, to encourage our fans to be fans of everybody.
Mm-hmm. I see what I
And
mean.
where, like, if we're in a time where people are hungry for visibility right now, and I think that there's an opportunity there to create almost an ecosystem where, let's say you and I, a year from now, we're touring and we're able to draw 100, right? And then we know that, let's say, we're passing through a small town somewhere in the Midwest, and all of these folks, these queer folks, came out to see us because they're fans of our music and they're fans of us, and it means a lot to them to go to something where they can just be themselves for a couple hours.
Right.
And then, but we know, oh hey, here's a friend of ours, like, my friend Marina, who's putting out their music. They're going to be passing through town in a couple months.
Mm-hmm.
Keep your eye out on them. And then those same people can go out, and because we know that Marina's going to do a great job of having a positive and encouraging and
Right.
inclusive environment, those same people are going to be able to enjoy that too.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, they're queer folks have dollars.
Right.
We have
They
dollars.
got
We
that
have
pink
dollars
money,
to
baby.
spend. And we're wildly creative people. We're and we love community, and we love creating communities where people can be whoever the hell they're going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And so, is there a possibility for us to almost create our own business opportunities for each other inside of it?
Yeah.
where
Love
it
that.
doesn't feel like business, but it's us sharing the wealth in
Mm-hmm.
a very figurative and literal.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's really true. Like, it's such a supportive community, like you said, and it's so cliche, but like everybody got to help everybody. And the people who
Mm-hmm.
don't want to help other people just won't also be helped as much. So,
Right.
like, and all that stuff comes back to you. So the more that you uplift and share people and, you know, try to share people from diverse backgrounds as well, um, yeah, the more power that we all have. And I've noticed that hugely in the
Yeah.
last like few months. Like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't have had so much buzz even around my music video if it wasn't for that, you know, because
Mm-hmm.
after releasing my single, it was like, yeah, there was a little bit of that, but then I was able to find all these new people and all of that. And then I'm able to, like, I saw someone, Bronze Avery, if you follow him, he's
Mm-hmm.
a great queer artist. Um, like on his playlist the other day that he just created, I was like, oh, I know you got that from me because you don't follow that person on social media, and that is the exact song that I had on my playlist. And it's not like one of their big songs. So I was like, oh, you got it from me. So it's like we're
Right.
all sharing music, we're all influencing each other.
Right.
And same with journalists too. Like, you
Mm-hmm.
know, I'm like, oh, hey, you want the connected billboard? Yep, there's their number, there's their name, here's their email, hit this person. Oh, by the way, hit that person. And they're like, oh, I
Right.
think you should email this person about licensing and email that. So like building that network is really important, and that is really good about social media because not everyone is in a big place, not everyone knows where to start. Um,
Right.
so now we can educate ourselves and connect each other and make real friends and
Exactly.
want to help them instead of just like random faces you scroll by and shit like
Right.
that. So
And then we can start benefiting from the creativity that straight Hollywood and straight music loves to steal from us.
yeah, give me that money
How
back.
about that?
How about that? Well, I feel like that is a beautiful last line for this podcast. I just shouted you out, but I'm also going to shout out your website one more time.
Thank
Everybody,
you.
please follow Jolie. I'm going to do it again here anyway. They do stream on Twitch. They're getting all they overlays and all that, the most beautiful stuff you've ever seen. They're going to be doing more music production. They do
All the
design
things.
work as well, if you didn't see. So if you're interested in website design or graphic design or anything, talk to Jolie or talk to me to connect you with Jolie if you're a little shy.
Aw, don't be shy.
Don't be
Don't be
shy,
shy.
darling.
I know my
Um,
eyebrows look severe, but
they are not. They just
what
look
we need.
fresh. They look fresh. Oops, I'm hitting shit. But yeah, and stream their music. Follow them on Twitch. They also hang out in our chat a lot. So if you're here, you will see them. And if you're watching this from YouTube, just like click all their links down there. And if you're watching this on Twitch later, just click all their links
All the
down
things.
there. All of the
All the things.
links. But thank you so much, Jolie.
Thank
It
you for
was
having
lovely
me.
talking to you.
I hope we get to do this
We will
again.
definitely do this again.
Bye bye.
Okay, bye bye, my Zwaling.
Bye bye.